In this video, I'm sharing about some of my recent manifesting successes and failures and the lessons learned from these experiences. I'm sharing some of these in the areas of money slash career, in relationships, and also in health. And so, yeah, if you'd like to hear about some of my recent manifesting highs and lows, the lessons learned, then join me for this video. But first, if you are new to this channel, then welcome. My name is Adrienne Decotes. I'm a manifesting coach and intuitive guide, and on my channel, we talk about getting into the flow and manifesting with ease. So if that is something you're interested in, I invite you to click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to know when I publish new videos. So what inspired this video was it was my birthday last month, and also it is about the halfway point of 2024, and so it's a really good opportunity for me to kind of do some reflecting on the past 6 months and the past year or so of my life. And so that is what I've been doing a bit of, and in this video I want to try to keep it a little concise though, because there's a lot of insights I've been having in a lot of different areas. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm gonna share a top success and a top manifesting failure in 3 main areas of my life. Money slash career slash mission purpose, that area, and then health, and then relationships. So the first area I want to touch on is that money slash career mission purpose area, and let's start with the manifesting failure. So this one I'm calling losing steam with my art dream. Okay, so first I'll just start out by saying kind of what happened with this, and then I'll do a short segment of sharing what my lessons were from the experience. So basically what happened is I set a intention for myself at the beginning of 2024 to really develop my skills and my style as kind of an illustrator, as an artist. It's been a long time dream for me to like more fully develop my artistic potential, and this year I decided that I was really going to focus in and make some good progress in that area. And the first quarter of the year, I did really well with this. I put a lot of time and energy into this and made some good progress. I even talked about it in my vlog from Colombia that I shot back in March when I went on that trip, about how kind of proud I was of this area. But then in the second quarter of the year, things got kind of busy in my life and this area totally fell off the map. And so I kind of stopped doing my art practices and my progress on this manifestation, what I had been working on manifesting, it totally backslided. So yeah, let's take a look at what some of the lessons were and why that happened. Okay, so my reflections about this and kind of the lessons learned, what happened, I think, with this manifestation was I had this initial New Year's enthusiasm, like we're all kind of familiar with, and I was able to ride that wave of initial excitement and enthusiasm about like kind of finally making the progress that I wanted to make on this topic. And, that was able to sustain me for a time. But the thing that I did not do was I didn't really have a regimented or committed manifesting practice towards this desire. So I wasn't really doing I did a little bit but not very much kind of creative visualization or like envisioning myself as the artist that I want to be, that kind of thing that I've successfully used in other topics to help me manifest an intention. I didn't really do that for this topic very much at all. I kind of avoided doing that. And so it makes sense that kind of after that initial enthusiasm wore off, that I kind of defaulted back to my previous pattern with this topic which is kind of like having these kind of up and down cycles of having a good focus on it, doing a lot of artwork for a time, and then kind of taking a break and not doing much of anything for a while. And so this just really taught me that this area for me, it's kind of like a little plant, is kind of how I've been thinking about it, like a little seedling or like a little plant that you really need to nurture with like love and care and attention so that it has a chance to get some deeper roots into the soil and develop a stronger like maybe it's a tree or something, it's got to develop like an actual trunk so it can survive in the elements. And because what happened in the second quarter of this year too is like I got a lot more busy, a lot more things were kind of demanding my time and attention, and so art just kind of really took a back seat. And so what I think I must do to prevent this is do more of like a regimented energy alignment manifesting practice. I need to like really envision myself as the artist that I want to be, as someone who makes the time for this every day or like on a regular schedule. And that is kind of probably the biggest lesson that I took away from this manifesting, failure, as you could say. And now in the same area, let's move on to what I feel was one of my top manifesting successes. And that one I'm calling Happy Money Reality. So about a year ago or so, I posted a video about how I had this breakthrough about my relationship with money. And I've been able to successfully implement that breakthrough. I'll get more into that in the next section about the lessons learned, but basically the kind of what has happened that is the success is I've really been able to end what was going on for me for a while, which is like this up and down cycle with money of kind of manifesting a really good experience in my financial reality for a time and then kind of going back down and having a not as good experience. I've been able to have a steady, positive manifesting experience with money. I've been able to pay off a lot of debt that I had. I've been able to have steady, good amount of income. I've been able to go on some nice vacations. I've been able to also manifest clients in my business more easily than ever before. So like all these really positive things have been happening in my money reality. So that's why I'm calling it Happy Money Reality, which was a really huge and really good, positive success for me for sure. Okay, let's cover kind of the lessons or the key takeaways that I got from this experience. One of the key things that really helped kind of instigate this positive shift was really letting myself to kind of recognize and own some of the more negative feelings that I was having about money, some of kind of like shame or embarrassment about this whole like up and down manifesting cycle. I kind of let myself own that I had more of these negative feelings because I had been pushing even those away and kind of feeling embarrassed to kind of feel negatively because, like I should know better. I'm a manifesting coach, that kind of thing. So I let myself feel that, and then I let myself kind of then start to kind of make peace with those feelings and also just with kind of the experience that I had been having with money for pretty much my whole life, because my childhood was kind of like that too, of like up and down money experience. And then from more of that neutral place, I was able to then cultivate more of a positive energy about money. And specifically what I did was I did regular journaling and regular like creative visualization, scripting style journaling of imagining and mostly really feeling into what it would be like to have the money reality that I wanted. I stayed pretty general with my focus. I just kind of really felt the feelings and just kind of like enjoyed imagining whatever scenarios felt good. And I think that the big lesson, because that really worked for me, my reality did, like I said, kind of more stabilize and even improve in some really nice ways. The key takeaway is just like the power of that steady, consistent cultivation of the positive emotion and the energy and the mindset. And kind of like with the failure that I talked about before this with the art, it's like if I know that if I could do that kind of a practice with art, which of course I can and I would like to, that is something that would also cause that topic to stabilize and not be like as up and down as it has been and as the money situation used to be. And so the recognizing and kind of soothing and making peace with negative emotions and negative past experiences, that was the first key lesson. And then the second one was the steady and consistent manifesting practice to retrain my mindset and my energy on the topic to a new, better feeling place. That made a huge difference. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is going to be health. And again, we'll start with a manifesting failure. I can't believe I'm sharing about this on the internet, but Yeah, the title of this one is Wardship Returns, so I'll explain what that means. Like I said, I can't believe I'm going to share this with you because it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. So basically, the story is I got this planter's wart on the bottom of my foot. I think it might have happened the first time that I went to Colombia, which was about 4 years ago. So I noticed this on the bottom of my foot a few years ago, and at first I kind of Googled about it and thought, sometimes these things just go away on their own. And so maybe I'll just let it hang out there and see if it just kind of takes care of itself. And so it never did. Time went by, it never did. And so I was like, well, maybe I want to do something about this. Maybe I want to be more proactive about this situation. So I did some more research and I found kind of a natural treatment, like this treatment that I could apply to help it go away. And so I followed what you were supposed to do, which was you were supposed to apply it to the wart like 3 or 4 times a day. And so I did. I was very diligent and I applied it at least 3 times a day for a few months. And it seemed like it was making progress, like it was starting to kind of go away. And then one day it actually did seem like it had resolved the issue. I won't get too graphic with it because in case this is going to gross people out, I know it's kind of a weird topic. But basically, yeah, like it seemed like it had healed this issue on my foot. So I got excited. I thought, oh, that's it. It's done it. I have all this effort in this because it was kind of hard work to apply it and remember to do it 3 times every day. So I thought it was resolved. But then maybe a week or so later, it had reappeared. It had come back. And yeah, I was very disappointed. And I was like, well, okay, maybe I guess I just gave up too soon. Or I kind of, yeah, like maybe I stopped applying the treatment too soon. Maybe I need to just go back and do this whole process again. And maybe I can get rid of it fully this time. So I did. I tried to like do the 3 times a day thing. But because it was so much effort, so much work, it was hard to stay 100% consistent. And so this kind of dragged on for a few more months where I just, it lingered there and I wasn't able to even stay consistent with the treatments. I'd kind of like, just gotten to a place of where it felt like such a hassle. So that was kind of what happened as far as the failure. And then let's get into what that taught me, the lesson learned. So this one has like maybe a little bit of a similarity to the art example as far as I think that one thing that happened with this is that I, again, kind of assumed a little bit prematurely that I was good with what was going on with healing this wart at the bottom of my foot, kind of like how with the art example, because I felt such strong enthusiasm and passion for it at the beginning of the year, I assumed that was going to sustain me. But yeah, with this wart situation, I didn't follow through and make sure that it was fully resolved. I kind of like assumed the treatment had worked and stopped applying it, and then it ended up coming back. So that's at least one key lesson. The other one I think was to recognize that at first I was feeling a lot of enthusiasm for this natural remedy, and I think that sense of belief and that sense of like positive feeling about it, expecting it to work, was something that really helped it to be more effective versus like when I continued to use it after the wart had like come back, then I was having more doubts about it and feeling more resistance about kind of keeping up this kind of time-consuming routine. And so I think that really didn't help. So let's turn the page and focus on the success, which is on the same topic. A little spoiler alert for you. Yeah, so like I just mentioned, the manifesting success for me in the area of health is wartship goes into remission. Okay, so first I should probably explain why I've been calling this wartship. I just realized that in the last segment I didn't even kind of explain why I'm saying wartship instead of just like a wart that's on my foot. Basically, it's because to kind of help lighten the mood and because Nick and I are really silly, we started kind of calling the wart wartship and kind of like referring to it that way, you know, kind of like the proper term like a lordship or something. We called it wardship. We watched the whole Downton Abbey TV show a couple years ago, and since then we kind of make jokes about that on occasion. So that's why it's wardship. Although I think that was actually helpful too, to kind of give it this silly name to kind of help me take the situation like a little more lightly, have a little more of a higher vibe about it. But anyway, let's get to the success on this topic. So the success was that, so after I kind of had done this like regimen of doing all these natural treatments to try to get rid of this thing on my foot, and then like it had worked, and then it came back, and then I tried to do it some more, and it got kind of frustrating and seemed like a lot of work. I decided, like, okay, obviously what I'm doing is not working. I need to focus more on what I can do to manifest this going away. And the biggest piece of guidance that I got from my intuition about that was like, you need to stop doing this treatment. You're not enjoying it. It doesn't feel good. You know, you're not fully believing in it anymore. So I got the guidance to stop doing that and basically to just not take any action, just wait for inspiration. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of let this go for now and just wait until I get some clear guidance and clear inspiration about something to do, because I looked into other kind of treatment options, and other ways that people get rid of these things seem like really painful, really kind of not very fun. Nothing felt very inspiring, and the natural treatment really wasn't working for me, it seemed. So I decided to just kind of, give it up for now. And even my guidance was telling me just ignore it, like don't even look at your foot. You know, it was on the bottom of my foot, so it was easy to kind of not look at it. So that's what I did for a time, was I just kind of was like, okay, I'm just gonna let this go for now. I'm just gonna wait for, if some inspiration comes to me about what to do, I will take that action. But otherwise, I'm just gonna kind of ignore the situation. And then maybe a couple months after I made that decision, I got the inspiration to look more closely at what was going on down there, and the situation had resolved itself on its own. The wart was gone. So, or at least it's like very much in remission, more so than I had ever seen it. It's maybe just a tiny bit still there, to not give too much gross detail, but it pretty much looks like there's nothing there on my foot and feels that way too. So yeah, basically it healed itself. So yeah, let's go quickly into some of the lessons that I took from this experience. I mean, basically this is kind of a classic case in manifestation where you kind of give up on something and then it manifests. And you know, the thing about giving up that people sometimes don't understand is that when you give up, you're never giving up the desire, because you've already kind of told the universe what you want. Your higher self, your inner being, is always still focused on what you want. But if you kind of are taking your focus away from it and kind of giving up, you're not giving up the desire, you're giving up the resistance. You've stopped like pushing against what you don't want, and so then the vibration of what you do want can become dominant. And so I think that's basically what happened with this. I mean, like I mentioned at the beginning of this situation, I had read and understood that my body could just kind of heal itself of this malady on its own, and that's kind of what I wanted to happen in the beginning. And so my desire had been really stimulated for it to be gone for a while, from all this focus that I had put on it. And then I had because of that, I had asked really strongly from the universe to get rid of this thing. But then like once I was finally able to kind of let go of kind of my angst about it, or my doubts and disbelief that it was gone, or that I could figure out how to get it gone, then it was able to just kind of manifest itself away on its own, which was really a nice thing to discover. All right, and then moving on to my final topic. This one is in the area of relationships, and the manifesting failure here I'm calling ignoring my own advice. Okay, so here's what happened with this manifesting situation. Basically, last fall I had kind of a falling out with a friend where we kind of had like a messy conversation, friend breakup kind of a situation. And yeah, it was really challenging. It was really hard for me. And so I decided to work on my energy around this person and around our relationship and see if I could manifest a positive reconciliation. And so I focused on this and did what I could to help accomplish that. And I started to manifest some positive signs in our relationship, in my relationship with this other person, and a sense that maybe this positive reconciliation was on the way or could happen. And here's where the part where the title of Not Taking My Own Advice kind of comes in, because I think it was in January, I published a video called How to Not Feel Impatient or something like that. And then it was like within a week or two of publishing that video was when I got the urge or the impulse to try to sort of like force a reconciliation with this person. Of course, I wouldn't at the time have thought that, I didn't deliberately say to myself, I'm trying to force it. I was thinking like, I'm feeling better about this, maybe it's time. But if I was really honest with myself, I could feel that probably the manifestation wasn't fully lined up yet, but I just went ahead anyway. And in trying to kind of reconcile with this person, it ended up sort of blowing up in my face, and we had sort of a similar repeat situation of what had happened in the fall. And then I sort of did the same thing again too, like just this past spring, where again, I like worked on my energy and was trying to get into alignment with a positive reconciliation in this relationship. And then kind of, again, a little too soon, got a little too impatient and was reaching out to the person, trying to reconcile, and like, again, kind of like it fell apart and we couldn't quite find a way to move forward positively. And so, yeah, this has been a really challenging situation for me this year, but definitely a really good area of learning too. So let's do a short segment of some of the lessons from this situation. So I already covered one of the big lessons. It is that impatience factor. I mean, at least I'm really gotten a lot more aware of that this can really be my issue. I had a big insight about this at the beginning of the year, like I said, around how I've done this in the past in business, kind of taken action too soon or out of impatience, and how that hasn't been helpful for me. But it was a big kind of light bulb moment to see this happen in this relationship. And that, yeah, kind of the biggest lesson around that for me in all situations, but especially this one, is like really if I'm doing a practice of cultivating a new reality within me, a new positive unfolding of events in a relationship or in my business or whatever it is, it's so important for me to make sure that that is really solid within me before I try to take action to try to like make it happen in the outer, to kind of resist the impulse to try to take action unless I'm really sure that the energy has gotten to a point where I'm being inspired from the new reality that I'm manifesting instead of like the old reality vibration that I'm trying to move away from. Like, am I taking action out of true inspiration, or is it out of a feeling of some kind of impatience or some kind of trying to like force the manifestation into reality before I'm fully ready, before I've fully stabilized in the new energy? So that's been a really good lesson for me. Okay, and then let's move on to what I feel has been a good success in this area of relationships, and I'm calling this one Holding My Own Vibrationally. So like I mentioned in a recent video, I've been pretty interested this year in kind of investigating and experimenting a little more closely with how my energy affects what I manifest in relationships. Not only in the relationship that I just was talking about in kind of the failure section, but also in my relationship with Nick, my relationship with coworkers, clients, pretty much everybody. And so where I feel I've been successful in relationships is in taking more responsibility for how my energy, just like impacts how things manifest in my dynamics with other people. And specifically where I've been having good success with this lately is like with my partner, Nick, at times when it feels like our energy together as a couple is maybe starting to swing a little out of balance, or if I can sense that maybe he's getting triggered by something and like there's a chance that we could have an argument or a disagreement or something like that, or that we could kind of get out of balance together and have not as good of an experience. I've been a lot more mindful. I don't do it perfectly, I don't do it every time, but there's been a lot of times where I've been able to kind of sense that this is a potential that's happening, and then to get really conscious about what I'm doing with my mindset and my energy, and then to really stay focused on being in a high vibration, even if maybe he's been triggered by something, or he's like kind of reacting to something, or is a bit off balance or something, where in the past, like that kind of a scenario could definitely then trigger me, and then I could get upset, and then the whole thing could kind of like start building a negative momentum. I've been doing a good job of, at times, I don't do it every time, I don't do it perfectly, but there's been a lot of times where I've been able to like just kind of, stay focused on me and my energy and not get reactive to anything that he might say or do that could potentially trigger me, and then be able to, instead of me like getting negative momentum going by like reacting to him, I'm able to get him to react to me and then kind of restabilize in a positive energy and be able to avoid an argument, or like if he is upset about something, to be able to bring him back to feeling good. And sometimes he does the same thing for me too. I'm not saying it's always Nick that is like getting upset or something, and that I don't ever do that. There's definitely times when I do it too, but I'm really proud and really enjoy kind of being able to be working on, like, as Abraham, I've heard them say before, like making my buttons unpushable or like, just understanding and being really conscious in a state where you could potentially get triggered, but you don't. You stay in alignment, you stay in balance, and then you're able to turn what could be a situation that kind of spins out into an argument or into like a negative experience in a relationship, but keeps it in a positive energy and allows for a quicker resolution of a situation and just like a positive overall experience. So yeah, I feel like I've kind of covered the lesson from that one too, which is basically keep doing that, like keep that really works, keep focusing in that way, keep making that my intention. So yeah, that's basically the lesson from it. And I'm really, like I said, I'm very proud of that skill that I've been cultivating, and I definitely want to continue with that some more in the future. All right, so those are some of my manifesting successes and failures from the past recent few months or so, or maybe year or something like that. I hope that you found that interesting and helpful. It was definitely helpful for me to do a review and kind of highlight and notice what some of those were and reflect on what some of the lessons were and really see some of the patterns that are playing out in different life areas. I think that's something that can be really enlightening if you choose to do something like this for yourself. You can see how you have similar patterns of what creates a failure, like when you don't manifest what you want or you manifest the opposite, versus when you create a success. For me, I can definitely see impatience being a factor in some of the failure areas, and also the kind of like, not fully building the energy on a topic and expecting results without doing that. And then in the successes, I can see where I've done more the opposite of that, and that has helped to create the success. So I definitely recommend an exercise like this to do on your own should you feel inspired. And if you do decide to do an exercise like that, I'd definitely love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about any of your manifesting kind of lessons that you've been learning recently. Definitely feel free to leave those in the comments down below if you feel inspired. You can always send me an email as well via my website. I love hearing from you, so definitely reach out if you feel inspired. And as always, if you would like more manifesting tips and tricks and insights and little stories from me, then I definitely recommend downloading my free guide to the 7 Habits of Highly Magical People. I have a link to this in the description box below this video, so you can get that if you're interested. And it will also put you on my mailing list where I regularly send my updates and share some kind of behind the scenes manifesting stories that I don't always share on this channel as well. So definitely check it out down below if you're interested in getting a copy and getting onto my email list. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, I definitely think you might also like this other video, which is all about more of my stories. These ones center around manifestation and synchronicity, so especially interesting and fun to hear about. Thanks again for joining me, and until next time, happy manifesting.